Good morning, Rick, and
Good morning,
welcome to
lady.
Vibe.
We're ready for it.
Sorry we were a couple minutes late, guys, but we were talking about our weekends, and Rick had a huge weekend. He was vibing all over that lovely island in the United Kingdom. And I had a sale this weekend, so I was crazy vibing over that, and then I had some social stuff to do yesterday. So, I just read a post. Somebody had put a post down. Weekend should be 3 days because you should have one day to do nothing, one day to do something, and one day to do laundry. And I think I really agree with that. Because I am going to be doing laundry today. But what's on our 6-week plan, our 6-week curriculum that we were going to talk about was mastering visualization. And I think that it's really an appropriate an appropriate one for today because I do pop culture tarot readings about celebrities and whatnot, celebrities, political people, sports heroes on my regular channel. And one of the things that there is a huge debate about is the darkness in Hollywood, and that there's this, wicked cabal that's running underneath the, storied cobblestones of, La Cienega and Hollywood Boulevard. And I do think that there are some individuals that do delve into kind of the darker magic. And I'll be honest, being here in the United States, San Francisco felt a lot darker than LA, but LA still felt a little dark to me. I'm on the East Coast now, for those of you that don't know where I am. But one of the things that keeps coming up repeatedly when we're talking about people that are of a nefarious origin is, are they wicked, and are they involved in wicked things? And I keep telling, in the comments, I keep discussing this, and I say, you don't have to be a practitioner that has this very structured and dramatic and theatrical kind of practice to be wicked. You can manifest in a wicked fashion. And when you are not a master of visualization, when you are just, well, hey, I want a Ferrari by any hook, by any means, you can start to manifest some not so great stuff. You can welcome in some darkness. So I do try and specify that with a lot of my viewers. But visualization really does work. It really does work. And if you harness it, you can use visualization and manifestation for good in your life and for good in the lives of others. So and sometimes it can be really hard. It's real easy to visualize, oh, I really want somebody to fall on their face at a speaking engagement, or I really, in the boardroom, I really want that Mary from the cube 3 cubes down, when she gets up to speak, I just want her to stutter through the whole thing. You can visualize those. Sometimes those are a little bit easier because they're wicked and wild and fun. But when we want to manifest and visualize things that are great in our lives, there's a magic to it that we have to really put a fine point on, and that's that emotion, really feeling the gratitude and the wonder and the satisfaction of that thing that we want. And so for that reason, sometimes when we're trying to manifest good things, it takes us a little bit of time, and it takes us a little bit of practice. Practice is good. We practice in yoga, we practice our musical instruments, we practice gymnastics or practice handwriting and all those things. But you have to do it over and over again. And one of the cool things is that when we're manifesting, we can kind of add on to it. So, Rick, I know I kind of went off for a minute or two, but with visualization for you, when you're trying to energetically problem solver, when you're trying to attract something that you want into your life, what do you do? Or what do you tell your clients?
Well, do you know what? I listen to other people's stories. The thing is, for me, like when I started my spiritual journey and started bringing messages in, I find it really difficult because I sat in what's known as the circle over here, where you go. It was church-based thing where you sit in circle and you build up the energies and then you pass on messages, and everybody in that circle was coming up with something. Right. And they said to me, right, what have you got? And I went, absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. As I wasn't thinking about anything. There was just this, right, could you direct that thought to somebody? I said, yeah, but they're into thought. There's nothing there. So what I found with me is that sometimes I have to change the wording around in my head. So like if somebody says to me, let's go into meditation, my visual thing in my mind then immediately goes to some cross-legged person sat there going hom. Right, well, that don't suit me. That I can't get my head around that. And when somebody said, so what would you say is one of your strongest assets? I went, imagination. Right, okay. So when you sit there and you want to manifestation, as we're giving it that term, what would you feel would be the best way of you doing it? Well, I'd start to imagine it. I'd start to draw a picture in my mind. And what was added to that was, because I'm going, right, I'm looking round. So somebody says to me, my granddad's in the corner, and I'm going, where is he? Because I couldn't literally analytically see him. But in your mind's eye, this is really, really important. Your mind's eye is capable of doing all of the physical stuff, but it's in a visualization and a technique and a techniques come in there. And what you do is you practice and you use your imagination and you bring it in. And I think words in particular have amazing power. And I sat there and I considered this for a while, and I'm going, right, okay, so I need to use my imagination to bring in something that I really, really want. So what words would I use if I'm putting that out there and I'm doing my mantras or my daily chants or whatever it is that you want to call it? Then this thought occurs to me, because it does, random stuff. Right. So if we're manifesting, we're producing something that we haven't got. So when we write our words down, and when you write a word down literally, what do? You spell it. Right?
Yep.
So you write it in form. So words, and run along with me this, because I'm weaving a bit here, but it's what made sense to me at the time. Words are spelling. Yep. So when you put your spells out there into the universe, using your wonderful, vibrant imagination, all words have a vibrancy and a frequency. So if you can get used to when you sort of talk and notice how you talk, and when you put things out, so I get people that maybe come to me that are just a bit like, dour, and they go, I wanted a new car. World out there ain't going to bring them anything but more of what they know, because if they got something up there that's outside of their frequency and outside of their imagination, they're not going to cope with it. So what I found over these last couple of years is I've developed this stammer, because I'm one of these that I would consider myself, or I used to, quite cynical. So if I wanted something, it'd be, yeah, well, around my area and the job that I do, it's not likely, is it? Well, that's a spell that I've cast out there. So the realization came in when you go, well, if you keep putting that out, that's what you're going to have more opportunities to look at. So it's casting your spell out there, it's using your imagination. So I get a very strong idea in my mind. I listen to people like you, and I listen to lots of other people. But for me, it's a heartfelt vibration going out to the universe. Not need, because that'll not come in for you in the right way. Not really a wanting, just put it out there, because the one thing I strongly believe in is right and divine timing. So sometimes when we're looking for something, the reason that it doesn't come in double quick time is because the timing's not right. And with
Yes.
retrospect, what you tend to find is when you go, oh God, if I'd have got that then, I wouldn't have done this. If I'd have gone down that route that at that time, that would have caused a lot of different issues. So for me, I'm not a religious person, I'm not a preacher, but there is a higher vibrational frequency out there. Some people know it as God, some people know it as their angels, their spirit family. Me, I just know it as universal source energy.
Yeah.
That you kind of like throw your lot into the mix, and assuming that it's of a good vibrational frequency, you will boomerang back in what you put out there. So for me, while we were talking off screen, I'm not very good at sort of spending on myself. But what I've noticed now is when I step off trying to control things and put out there into my wonderful imagination where I'd like to be, start to notice the synchronicities, because as they start to come in, they're giving you messages. So the spells are coming back from the universe. So you've got more information, more evidence. Right. Do I accept that? Yes, I'm liking the sound of that progressive wise. Then I'm going to make some adjustments, just make a few little tweaks. I'm going to sling that back out into the energy, and then I will look around my actual literal environment. Right. Is that going to bed in? Because it's almost like having a plant pot. Because when you put a seed in the plant pot, you won't stick it in there and then 15 minutes later go outside, uproot it and go, oh, are you grown yet? Where's all my flowers? So you've got to nurture it, you've got to water it, you've got to give it the right conditions for that growth to come in, and that's an adjustment period. So one of the lessons that I always fall down on in manifestation is I lack patience. Right? I can sit here and I can preach to people about the correct way of doing it because it does work. But when it comes to your own visualization, like, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. Well, if you ain't got time for that, guess what happens? Well, make time. So you'll sit there even longer. So it's one of them where you just go, right, I've got to flow with it. So my tip is to use your imagination. I mean, you will be able to tell a lot more about me, and I'll hand that over to you about dream boards and visualization techniques. But that's my way of doing it. But I'm very off the cuff with most of my spiritual life because I haven't had proper grounding with it. I've winged it.
So I love that you brought up the spelling technique, because that is true. These people that have their their book of shadows or their book of spells or any of that stuff, it really is key to write those things down. Now, if you want some crazy stuff, you may not want to write that down. I totally get that. You could use notes in your phone. If that's the case, you just use your own little private thing instead of what someone can look at. But my manifestation book is right behind me. It's my gratitude journal, my manifestation book. I have everything in it. I find that when we write those things down, creating the emotion when you're writing it down. So say you're looking for a new job, say you want a promotion at your own job, something like that. When you write that down, if you infuse that with the emotion that you would feel when you obtain that job, not how you would feel when they say, yes, you got the job, you got the promotion, but how you would feel in the process. So if it's a managerial, if the managerial position, how you would feel directing the traffic, taking care of your reports, doing those kinds of things, how you would feel in that process, not the glory of winning, but the warm coziness of being in that. When we start to do that day after day, we're going to give that spell a little bit more power. Now, this is something that I really like when we speak those words into the physical. So it's a two-step process. So when we are crafting and visualizing in our head, as we write things down, we're bringing it from the ethereal into the physical. So when we speak them, we send them out into the energy as well. So now we're doing this twofold. We're taking something ethereal, making it physical, and then taking that physical thing and bringing it into an energetic, ethereal kind of resonance. So, it does start to bring more to us. Again, it takes practice. If we all wanted to win the lottery and we said, "Hey, I really want to win the lottery," we're you'd win the lottery the next day. If that's how spirit worked, Amazon.spirit, if that's how it worked, it'd be really easy, wouldn't it? But the reality is that we do have to put in a little bit of time, just like if you were training for a marathon, if you were training for going to school to be a doctor, you have to put some time in, and you have to give it some time, and they have to be reasonable requests. Like, you can't say, "Oh, I really want an elephant," and you live in the frozen tundra of Africa or of Alaska. You can't ask for an elephant. An elephant is more appropriate in Asia, Africa. They're just not going to live there. So, you gotta keep it real, but and I shouldn't even say that, because really the sky is the limit. If, say, you did want to wish for an elephant and you lived in Africa, maybe some chain of events will happen if you manifest enough and you practice enough. Some chain of events that you would get transferred to Africa or to India, and all of a sudden now you have an elephant and you don't know what to do with that elephant. But the chain of events, it's very, very curious. I mean, one of the things I really like vision boards, because and artwork for visualization, especially for younger children. When we are doing art, we are crafting our imagination into the physical. And so vision boards, and like, you don't have to, I'm a terrible artist. Like, I can't draw a stick figure. Like, stick figure is about like the best I can do. And it's funny because in remote viewing, we do a lot of drawing and I'm terrible at it. I really am. So mine are always like these bird's eye views. There's like X's and circles, and, my trees are like little globs, that's just how I draw. I'm just not very good at it. It's something I need to practice. But when we start to make art physical, we are infusing that thing. So if it's a vision board, I love vision boards. I buy canvases, the inexpensive canvases at our craft store. You get a pack of them for like $10. And then I have like scrapbooking little bits, and I have a vision board right here. I'll grab it. So this was a vision board that I did after Hurricane Sandy. So I live in the East Coast, and for Hurricane Sandy, our house was 2 blocks from the beach, and it got 7 feet of water in it. My ex stayed with the house. He continued to fix it up. But one of the things, there was so much destruction here at the Jersey Shore. There weren't any houses. There weren't any apartments to get. We couldn't get anything. So I was trying to manifest a place for me and my children to live. We moved in with my parents, and it was a little awkward and, a little bit terrible for them, not for us, but so I had to manifest a place, and I actually did manifest a place. I manifested a condo right by the beach. It was a couple blocks from their dad, and so we could still maintain relationships, and it wasn't too awkward or too troubling. But this took about 6 weeks for me to put this together. I kept adding things to it, and on the back of it, I kept writing down what my needs were. What exactly I needed for my family. And it wasn't, I need, a 5,000 square foot, mansion by the beach. It was, I need 3 bedrooms. I need 2 or 3 bedrooms and, a kitchen. That was like the most I got. And at one point I was like, I'd really like a bathtub because I just want to take a long bath. And sure enough, I found a place, and it was probably the last rental available in New Jersey. I'm not even kidding. I think it was. It takes a little bit of time, but so much energy and love and need and care was put into this, that and I worked on it over 6 weeks. To be sure, this was not something I sat down and did in one day. I worked on it over 6 weeks. And it was at the urging of the gentleman who owned the agency that I worked for. He was like, why don't you do a vision board and like see if you can kind of make that happen? And I was like, insurance guy is telling me to do some magic. How about that? So, something like this is really great, but it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be something like this. You could do a sculpture. You could just draw a picture with a pen. I'm not doing that, but you could, build a Lego display. There's so many things that you could do, and bring that visualization into the fore. I really the key things for me are, we have to use that imagination. I love that you said imagination, because so many people think that manifestation is not imagination. It really is. We are really imagining things into our lives, and you can get really creative. When I'm doing my visualizations in my book, I will add to it. So if I were car shopping, I would say, okay, I need a car that has, 4 doors and it's white. I have a thing for white cars. And then maybe the next day I'll say, okay, I need a car with 4 doors, and a white car with 4 doors. And I'd really like a sunroof. I'd really like a sunroof in that. 4 doors, white car, 4 doors, sunroof, less than 20,000 miles on it. 4 doors, white car with a sunroof, less than 20,000 miles. And, I really like the Ford Motor Company. I think I want to stick with them. So you can kind of add on to that as you go day after day after day, and you're kind of visual. And in your head, you should be seeing this. You can say it out loud. You can speak those into existence. And then maybe one day you're going to sit down, you're going to paint a picture of your 4-door white Ford car with a sunroof and less than 20,000 miles. You actually paint a picture of it or draw a picture of it, and that way we're drawing that to us. Now, as we do that, universe, spirit, God, whatever, Gaia, however you refer to it, is going to craft a action plan that you're going to hit these milestones where you're going to run into it. So, when you start dreaming this up, maybe the person who owns that car has not yet decided to sell their car. Maybe that person is still using that car. That car is still working out for them. So it may take some time for that to come to you, but it does work. It absolutely does work. Do you have any techniques for working with distractions? Like when you're, you sit down, you take, a few breaths, you just kind of get yourself calmed down, and you're focusing on whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And then all of a sudden, it wanders into your head that you have to make an appointment for the vet, or that you're supposed to be meeting with a client later on. Do you have any techniques to kind of shoo away the intrusive thoughts?
Well, I can demonstrate a little bit when you're talking about that. I went to a show as an observer, as a customer, and I went into this talk. Now, for me, the universe understands frequency. That's the universe's language. It's frequency. So I went into this demonstration of this guy, and it was about meditation, and I'm starting to get a bit itchy, because, as I say, that visualization in my head of somebody that does meditation is sat there cross-legged and humming. And anyway, he says, right, is there anybody in this audience that sits there and gets distracted? He said, let me demonstrate. So he sits there and he goes, right, setting the intent out, 5 minutes to meditate. So is that going to be long enough? So his analytical mind comes in. Right, no. Before we get started, we've got to get the intent right. I'm going to do 10 minutes. Yeah, that should be right, shouldn't it? Yeah, that should be right, shouldn't it? Right. 10 minutes. Right, set. Right. Right, have I got everything that I need? Right, yeah. So I've got my chair, I've got my cushion, I've got my incense stick, and I've got my bits of crystals and all of that sort of bit. Right, ready. 10 minutes. We can do this. Go. Has anything happened yet? Because other people, and he went on through this for about 10 minutes, and it was hilarious. And I'm going, has he been staring at me through my window? Because that's what I'm like. So I have this mindset that never shuts off. Not just it runs 100 miles ahead of the programming. So even when I'm doing my best to sort of slow things down, then I'm already half a mile ahead. So it is a real concerted effort. So I had to come up with a strategy that suits my head. And this is where I'm only going to sort of pass out how I do it. But I feel for somebody whose brain's as addled as what mine is at times, then I hope a lot of people can like take from it and then make an adjustment. So I come up with this process called dustbin meditation, right? So you look at a distraction technique. So I find a room where I'm comfortable, this one or the one where I do all my card readings and I put the music on and I sit there and I do this sort of thing. But the key to any therapy and any mind work and any spiritual work is breaking the current state of behavior. So if you come in from work and you've had a Barney and, you've tripped over the cat as you come in, you've got the missus, and then you go straight into meditation, don't forget you're bringing that into that room with you, right? So before you even go into the meditative state or going in the room, because that's what we're looking at doing, we're changing the state of the energy around us. So before you go into your holy space, into your room, whatever it is, take a few deep breaths to slow down your heart rate, right? And the only preparation that you need to go into this meditative state, God, try saying that without your teeth in, is an open mind and an open heart. So I go in there and my head's going like that, and I'm going, right, I need to focus here. Yeah, but so somebody said to me, right, when you do meditation, the secret to it is close your mind. And I went, not going to happen. I said, I've been trying for 40 odd years to try and get that in place. Right, so what can I do for myself? So I go to the threshold of the room that I'm going to go in. I imagine that on the threshold of that door of the room that I'm going to go in is a large dustbin, trash can, as you guys call it, or some sort of receptacle that I can chuck crap in, right? Not my usual effort bucket. This has actually got a job to do. Right. So in there, you put all of the things that are your thoughts, the things that you've got to do, your responsibilities, all of your thoughts and feelings in there that right? And then you just say, right, safekeeping for about 20 minutes, because the reality is if you set yourself 20 minutes, half an hour or an hour, when you come out of that state or out of that room, there they all are, right? So I then go into my room and I sit down and I do my simple opening up prayer about gratitude and working within the right energy that I only want to work in love, light, truth and upliftment. And then I sit there. This is the thing when you've got an addled mind where your mind's always overthinking. You cannot, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, guys, you cannot shut off an overactive mind, but you can work with it.
Yes.
So when your thoughts creep in that are your thoughts and what's going on, then you need to just pay them no mind, let them drift through. So don't put an attachment to it. Don't put any thought to it. Just notice them, because they will come in no matter what you do. But the key is, like you were saying, not to get distracted. So we've got a second bin sat next to us that has got now anything that I don't know, right? Anything that comes in and go, oh, it might be a song, it might be a memory link, it might be a message from something, it might be a passage from a book or something like that, but something that I don't own or know anything about. So I collect that and put that in there, because my thoughts are still going to drift in, my responsibilities are outside the door, and I sit there for 10 minutes. If I go to sleep, because this is what people ask, if I go to sleep, am I doing it wrong? No, because that is what your body has put you in there for. It's just putting you into a relaxed state. So if you fell asleep during that meditation, to me, that's what your body needed the most. That's what your soul needed the most. So don't worry about that. But usually if you just sit there, just notice the sounds, notice the things that are going through your mind, but pay them no mind. When you come to the end of your meditation piece there, your reality is on the doorstep where you've come in, and you'll be able to pick that up and carry on with that. So you won't be in any detrimental state whatsoever. But what I always do is I bless the room and say, thank you. Thank you for allowing me this time with you. Thank you for bringing in this inspiration. Then, if you're of a mind to write everything down that's happened, that's in your bin that's next to you, because it's not rubbish. That's the stuff that you actually need to go through. But where I advise it for somebody with an overactive mind is when you write the thing down, get as much down as you want to get down there in that space, then shut the book and walk away from it. Don't sort of pore over it and go, oh, it means this, I've got to get it into my life immediately. No, leave it. Leave it a day, leave it a week, if you can. It depends on the frequency of your meditation. And then go back to it when you're in a peaceful state and you're not looking for anything in particular, and see what you put down there. TD mentioned in the comments there about automatic writing. That's a great thing to do as well, to sit there with a piece of paper with no thoughts in your mind about where you want to go with it, and just let the pen do the work. Let your mind go off on a wander somewhere. Use that beautiful imagination to craft whatever you want to craft. And then when you've done that and you've finished, thank the room, as I say, bless the room, walk out there, and then pick all your crap up out of the bin, and you're going back into normal life. And that's how I do it, because I need analytical structure when I'm doing it. If I follow the pattern, I don't feel so like tense with it. So my lesson is, at the moment, what I'm going through, and we spoke on previous broadcasts about thanking the teacher, is flowing, right? And this is something that, as somebody that has had PTSD and anxiety at quite a high level, finds it quite difficult to do. So it's like climbing a mountain for me. So having 10 minutes where I sit and shut my gob is a massive achievement for me, whether I come out with anything constructive or not. But just sitting there and the mindset's quiet for that 10 minutes is like pure gold for me. Because I say to people, yeah, when I'm performing, when I'm doing my readings and doing my therapy and things like that, the hypnotherapy and all of the stuff that I get involved in, I love that because I'm helping you. But there are times when there's not an audience there, there's not your friends, there's not your relatives, there's not anybody there to help when you're facing you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I sometimes find myself exhausting, right? So when you can find just 10 minutes to go, right, I'm going to grab a brew, I'm going to slow my heart rate down, any thought that comes into my mind, right, no, I'm not engaging with you. Yeah, but I'm not engaging with you. And it's being very firm and very disciplined about, I am not engaging. Yeah, but you've got to do 20 minutes. Yeah. Switch your phone to mute. Whatever it is that you do, do not have any distractions in your room. Don't have computers, don't have phones, you can have music in the background because that'll help you move your space along. But again, it's looking for something that suits you, because I don't know about you, but you can look on YouTube and other platforms. There's millions of hours of stuff of people lecturing you and telling you how you should do this and what you should achieve from it. Right. That's no good to me, because I rebel against authority. So if somebody starts going, you've got to do this to achieve this, that's just going to set me off on a totally different tangent. So I sit in the power, as I call it. It's not sat there like omming or crossing your legs, because I can't sit for that long. But I can sit there and just tap into the power of the universe. Have you got anything for me? And here's the key. They might not have, right? They might not have anything. They might not bring anything in whatsoever. You might just sit there for 10 minutes in white noise. But that's all good as well, because your soul has sent energy out before you, and it's been answered back by Amazon.Spirit. What they've delivered you is that 10 minutes apiece, because when you go out there and you've lowered your heart rate, your life's still going to be the same. You might still have the problem where you've had a Barney with your nearest and dearest, or there's so much shit gone on at work, but you'll at least have been distracted by 10 minutes to bring down that energy so you can cope with it. Because nothing is achieved when your heart rate's up in the air and you're stressed and you're anxious and things like that. It just doesn't work out. Anything that's forced will not pay dividends. So even if it's just like 5 or 10 minutes where it's just a few deep breaths. And what I noticed with people yesterday, they come into me, they ask you a question. So you go, it'll be all right, right? But one thing I need you to do before we go any further with any of this work is to breathe. Now, people go,
calm down.
Yeah, well, I can't say that to ladies. That would get me undone. So just say, right, just notice your breathing when you're going into this state. And this isn't like any big magic stuff. It's just observation. So you watch people just breathe normally. And most people that I've encountered when they're in that situation breathe from about there to about there in the heart space.
Yeah.
They're doing enough to keep themselves upright, because if you didn't breathe, you'd be dizzy and fall over. So I said, right, think about now your chakra systems. And for those of you that don't know, I'm not really dead bright with all of this, but the chakras are the energy centers that run from just above your forehead right down to your groin, are the main ones. There are many, many more, but I ain't got the time or the inclination to look into it. So if you imagine that you have to breathe through each department to get a representation from each department. So your crown chakra, which is your connection to the spirit world, you're not going to get information from the spirit world from around your groin area. So you have to breathe through that department. So if you imagine it like a bike chain, so that goes like that. When it's going round smoothly, you've got momentum, right? When you introduce stress, upset, anger, disease, pain, because if you look at disease, dis-ease, which is an interruption of the flow of your body, people call it chi. Well, I don't know. But if you start to notice as you're breathing right the way through the cycle, big, deep belly breaths. So when people are holding the rib cage in and the tense, you're breathing, and notice where you're breathing down to. You might get as far as the solar plexus, but you're not getting right the way down. So you ladies will be able to know more about labor breathing, but that's essentially what you're doing, is you're breathing the way right through that cycle. And what you're doing is also as well is that as you drum up that energy, so if you pull something out, the big deep breath, I'm feeling a little bit stressed about something, let the breath out slowly. And as it goes through that cycle, your body will tell you what area or what department you need to go to. So I find a lot of people, when they sit with me, being an empath and picking up on energy, you'll sit there and you'll go, what's going on with your stomach? And they'll come out with IBS and they'll come out with this, that, and the other, which I don't get involved in that because I'm not a diagnostician, I think, as you call them. I don't do anything medical, but I can feel the energy. And I'm going, so what's going on around you at the moment? Because around your navel area, that's intuition. That is your engine room. So it's almost like where you fuel up your car, that you fuel up that vehicle. Right. So what's going on? Oh, well, I've had a Barney with this and I'm second guessing myself. Right. Okay. And how are you breathing? Well, every time I get down here, and they show you. And that's what makes me smile. They show you, because you said to them, feeling a bit emotional today. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had a right Barney today. Bit stressed here at the minute. Oh, God, I've got so much on. Right. And they're actually telling you where the problem is. And all I do is turn around and tell them what they're showing me. So, you get down to the root chakra. And like, if people are sat there with their hands crossed, because I love doing this, playing about with people when you go into demonstration, I say, I can get you to move your hands without even touching you. And you'll get people that'll sit there going like that, right? Straight away. And I'll go, right. So I noticed the fact that you move really, really quickly. So you've proven my point. But if you look where your arms are actually folded and you go, right, yes, look where they are. Ladies, across the chest area and then across the solar plexus there. Because if you look where I'm covering there, so there's something in your heart that's blocking you from progressing into your sunshiny space, and your self-esteem and your confidence has took a hit. How the hell did you know that? Because you just told me. I never said a word. You did. I says, but now I've confronted you on it, or I've tapped into you with it. What have you done? So you've opened up. So how does that feel? Right, now breathe through that space again. Right, I've not done anything magic. You have shown me the way. You have shown me that. So if you can get a person to recognize what they're actually telling the world, telling the universe, you can help them adjust their frequency. Once you can adjust your frequency, that goes out to the universe, and the universe responds, because, as I said before, the universe responds to frequency. So with me, I got, right, I'm not a complicated guy. I haven't got the capacity to sit there and think up these like great schemes and structures and things like that. So I've said to the universe, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So when it comes into me, I see it like in vivid colors. It's my imagination, I get that, but my imagination tells me a story, and all stories have got component parts on it. So when that client comes and sits with me and says they're having trouble with a relationship, I sat with one 40 years as a nurse practitioner, works with mental health, has seen more before her breakfast time than I've seen in a lifetime. Stuck about her self-confidence, right? About dealing with a situation that's coming up. And I just went, are you kidding me? I said, so I want you to just stop the monkey chatter for just a minute, right? What do you, and I put this right on her toes, what do you want going into your future? What do you want to manifest? Blah, 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 blah. You're not listening. What do you want to manifest? Well, I don't know if I'm confident. Right. Second time round the track, she said, you're going to tell me off again in a minute. Right. Now you get it. Now you're understanding me. Right. So put your hand across your heart. Take away the thinking process for just a moment. What do I want? And it will present a picture, or it will show you something in your imagination. And I went, and how are you going to achieve that? Well, not in the job that I'm in. And she went, oh, I've been asking for a sign. And I went, and who's the biggest expert in your life? Well, I suppose it's me, isn't it? And it's like one of these hallelujah moments. And for me, it's because it's so simple. So I said, right, so what did your heart space tell you that you needed to do? She said, I need to travel. Right. So if you need to travel, how are you going to travel? Do you want to fly? Do you want to go, do you want to drive? Do you want a camper van? Do you want to, do you want to sort of go on trips or do you want to talk like big traveling? Oh, I've always had a dream of going to, and I went, right. And how's that going to happen? I said, so when you go on that journey, when you manifest, are you going to take a bag of bricks with you on board your plane or on board whatever it is on your transport? She said, no, because that'd be bloody uncomfortable. So I said, you've managed situations in the past. And I say this consistently on a lot of videos, that we live in a 98 and 2% world. 98% of the shit that we worry about doesn't happen, and the 2% that does, we deal with it. I said, so you're not telling me in your 40 years of experience in your life that you won't have days where there isn't a plan in place, where somebody's just gone, right, deal with this. What happens? Well, we all muck together. We all step in and use our experience. Oh. And I went, so when you manifest your outside life, what do you feel? And this is, notice this, because this is where we're talking about the words. What do you feel will happen? Well, I'll go traveling, but I know I can't go traveling in this job. So I'm feeling like I need to retire, and I need to stop that. Right. Is that your free will of choice? Is that she went, I've been feeling like this for a long, long while. Yeah, but the only difference is you've thought it, you felt it, but you've not actioned it. So what do you need to do? Because if you give people personal responsibility, I'm not checking on them, because it's not for me to push them in. I'm not going to make them accountable. The only person that you need to be accountable to is your inner being. Right? Nobody can judge you, because only you've got the right to do that. So I said, what are you going to do? And she just went, can I bottle you up and take you home? I went, it's all right talking a good game. And this is what I say to people. It's all right talking a good game, but some of us learn slower than others. So I can recognize talent in other people. I can recognize skills in other people. I can recognize where I feel that they're going to go. But me, I'm a bit slower on myself, which is why when you look at frequencies that I attract to your energy, because you're upbeat. You give me stimulus to help move forward. But ultimately, I can't lay my energy on you and go, oh, I've had a shit day today. Can you take it away from me? Because that's not fair. Because my belief system is, and this is what I want people to start getting their head around, is that we've already devised a blueprint before we even get here to experience the experiences that we're going to experience. And they are difficult at times. But like with people who say, I lack confidence, I've got low self-esteem, I said, what do you get off me? Well, you're a very confident person. So I say, you haven't got a clue about me then. You know, well, you don't come across as anxious. I went, exactly. Because I've looked at that label, I've looked at that and I've manifested that life of a depressed person and an anxious person. But then I've also got that side of me that kicks me up the arse and go, all right, if you want to be in that mode, that's kind of you. But what else we're going to do? Because there's 24 hours in a day. You're not going to sit there moping and depressed for 24 hours a day and then keep repeating the process. So what else do we want to do with it? So I just look for the most simplistic approach, right? If you start telling yourself, I can't, then you won't, right? It's as simple as that. So I get people to look at the power of positivity with the words. So if you take two simple words, can I, right? It's only 4 letters, C-A-N-I. You're asking the universe, can I? Universe will say, yeah, of course you can. It's up to you, right? What do you need from us? Whereas if you turn around and say to them at the beginning, I can, and all we've done is just flip that word over, then they're going to respond. So I will I? There's a big difference between the two of them. And it's energy. And as I've said now for the 3rd time, that the world responds to frequency. So if you tell yourself, I can't, then you won't. It's as simple as that. It's almost like climbing into a crate, screwing the lids down, and then wondering why you're trapped. Because you put yourself in that box. You've told yourself you can't do it. Well, if you can't do it, then don't worry about it. Look at what you do need to do. So my message with everybody is, and I deliver this a lot with one of my particular cards. I wish I'd got it to hand. I call it my bum shuffling card. It's like people who are on the windowsill and they've got an unclear future in front of them. So it's a little bit clouded. There's a little bit sort of going on around them that they're not sure about. So they like the little bird that's preening in the window, right? Getting themselves ready to fly, you know, getting yourself all fluffed up, ready to make that jump, like that. And then something happens, you get distracted. So you take a phone call. Now, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll be down there in a minute. Yeah, I'm going to come running to you because you've manifested me into your life as the problem solver today. So I'll get my Wonder Woman cape on and I shall fly down there, darling, and I shall rescue you.
Wait, right. You have a Wonder Woman cape? I need a Wonder Woman cape.
Not yet. Not yet. But it may well come in if I can design a cloak. So you get distracted by something. You complete the task for somebody else and give all of your energy to somebody else. And then you come back and you go, right, I'm a little bit tired, but I'm still keen. I'm ready to go. So I'm flapping. I'm ready to go. Come the end of the day, when you got distracted another 2 or 3 times, basically what you've done is you used a lot of energy to do nothing because all that you've achieved is to stand in the window and flap your wings. You haven't done anything either forward or backwards. So what I always say with this, right, remember it's personal choice. So if you've set yourself up to do something that's out of your comfort zone and that's where you've directed all your energy, that's what you've manifested, then bloody make the jump, right? If you're not going to do it at all, then get off the chuffing windowsill and go and devise a new plan, manifest a new plan. Do not put yourself under pressure to do something that you know you can't, that you know you won't, because it's dreaming. And we've said this before, because I have to get the words right with this, isht in one hand and wishing in the other. What you're going to have left at the end of the day is a big pile of isht.
A big pile of isht is right.
Wishing without direction is just a thought.
Exactly.
And when we
Exactly.
think about the thought, beliefs are thoughts that we've agreed are correct. So sometimes we have to go into the mindscape there and change the thoughts to suit the feelings, make energy, and change our belief system. So I've gone on quite a long while there, but you gave me the floor. So
No, that's all right, because I had Greg come in. I got to kiss him goodbye, so that's why I went dark for a second. He's up at an odd hour. This is an unnatural hour for him to be up. But no, Rick, I think everything you say is wonderful. And it is somewhat different from how I approach this. The one thing that I do think we have in common, though, is with the whole visualization and manifestation. There's so many people that think, well, I'm just going to sit here and wish to win the lottery. I'm going to write it in my manuals. I'm going to put it in my gratitude journal, and I just want to win $12 billion. Like, don't we all? Like, yeah, but you have to go through the act to make that happen. So, if you do want to achieve a new job, and that's for my clients, that's something I hear a lot, especially right now. A lot of people are looking to either switch jobs, switch roles, make more money. The economy's terrible. I tell them you have to focus and visualize and manifest, but there's the physical part at the end of it. You also have to have some agency over it. So you can't just write in your gratitude and manifestation journal, I would like a new job that pays me 150 pounds a year. You can't do that. You actually have to look for the job too. Maybe you have to clean up your resume. There are steps that you have to take. When we're visualizing and manifesting, we are asking the universe to create the roadways for us to get there. We still have to get in the car and drive. You still have to do something. And that, I'm confident that you've had some clients like this that will come and say, there are no men out there. I want to meet the man of my dreams. I want to meet the man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams. And you say to them, well, what have you done? Like, what have you engaged matchmaking services? Have you asked your friends to hook you up? Have you, what have you done to create a connection with another human being that could be a partner? And they go, well, nothing. I work and I come home from work and I sit down and I watch, reruns of House, or, I'm just kind of hanging out. Like, well, you have to actually get out there and do it. So, after I had split up with my kid's dad, I sat down with two of my guy friends. They're both two friends that were in law enforcement, both retired, and we're having some wine and smoking cigars on my porch at the condo that I manifested. And I said, what am I going to do? I go, I'm over 40. I have two kids. I'm just getting back into the workforce. Like, no one is ever going to want to date me, let alone marry me. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And they said, oh, that's crazy. And they said, while we're sitting here, write down a list of like all the things that you want out of a human being and that would be a partner. And so I made this list, and it was really long. They were cracking up because I'm the A student, I'm like really writing this list. And I handed it to him, and I'll never forget it. They both burst out laughing. They both looked at it together and they both burst out laughing. They go, oh, you're never dating anyone ever again. I go, what do you mean? They go, this list is impossible. You're never going to find somebody like this. They said, first of all, we're too old. Like, because I said, I don't want somebody that has like a lot of baggage. And they were like, you're going to get somebody that has kids or an ex-wife or two ex-wives, like you're going to meet somebody who's got baggage. And I was like, oh, like really? I'm like, all right, whatever, So tra-la-la, Greg, who I have known, our mothers were best friends when we were kids. I remember when she was pregnant with him. Greg basically hit every mark on that list, except for two of them. And I can't remember which two they were. I can't remember one of them, but the one I'm pretty heavily tattooed. And I said, I don't want to ever date anyone who's less tattooed than I am. I need somebody with more hours in the chair than me, because guys get a little weird with me and they're, oh, you have too many tattoos. I'm like, oh, really? Is it your first day? after 2 years of knowing me. Come on. So Greg has 0 tattoos. And there was something else on the list. I can't remember what it was, but there was something else on the list that he didn't match up with, but apparently it was, negotiable for me. So, but it was wild because we were actually really good friends and we were hanging out, and we were best friends, and I just never put it together. And you go, Trevor. Trevor said he needs more tattoos. So I need more tattoos too. Like that's actually a goal for 2025, is to get some more work done. I've got a dragon from my knee all the way up to the small of my back, and it needs color. It doesn't have any color right now, so I gotta man up and do that. But it's wild. Like, here's my question: did I manifest Greg in the interim between lifetimes with my spiritual HR director, or did I manifest him in this lifetime? Yeah, like that's the question. So, I tend to think, because we have those soul groups that we engage with time after time after time. I'm tending to think that I kind of manifested him as a partner, because there was always a very brother sister vibe about us. I mean, my siblings and his siblings, there was always like a very brother sister vibe about us. And I think I just kind of plugged him into the role, but and he's great at it. He's wonderful. He's probably watching right now from his car. But it's, you still have to do the work. Did I do the work on that one? Yeah, I actually, our first date was at the gun range. I know that's like, some people might not like that, but our first date was at the gun range, and it wasn't a date. We went, I needed to do some target work, and we went, and we had dinner, and then we got back to my house, and he was dropping me off, and I saw the new Hunger Games movie come out, and I said, oh, we could still go see it. It's 11:30 at night. And he said, okay, let's go. And so we went. He said, I never do 3 things in one day. And so when he brought me back home, I go, you know what? You did 3 things in one day. This is a date. You got to kiss me goodnight. So, so did I manifest? Maybe I did. But it's a good thing. And, I don't think that he saw that coming. He really wasn't looking for anybody. So, so Trevor says we keep him grounded. So we try to keep everybody grounded. But the whole idea, with visualizing, with manifesting, we all have the power to do this. We can all do this. So Rick, before we wrap it up, do you have anything you want to add? Because I want to give everybody a raise your vibration card, because we're all about the vibes here.
No, the thing is to say, it's my thing is now is about the individuality, and just to briefly touch on what you said there. Did you manifest it? Now, this is where your head can get a little bit like, or for me, who's quite simple at heart, get quite twisted with it. Right. So at the point that you designed your blueprint before you came to this universe, this was what you was going to put yourself through. So how I process it, because I say it's so weird now that these doors have opened up for me, is that as we come here, we've got all of the tools that we need, but we've had a mind wipe. So it's like somebody giving you a toolbox and just going, right, off you go. And then when you get here, you'll have a look in your toolbox and go, what the bloody hell's all of that for? Oh, I'll have a go with that.
It's a widget. What is this?
Yeah. And then when you start to use it, some people are good with their hands, some people are good with their mind, some people are artists, some people are just entertainers, perhaps, but it's all designed to teach you the lessons. So the hardest lesson, and I keep repeating all of this, that I'm going through at the moment is, even during the difficult times where I'm sure I didn't manifest that, I've written that into my, if you want to call it a contract, then I've written that in there for me to consider. So all of the trials and the tribulations that we go through, we want to get the lessons out of the way quickly. so that we can get on with what we really came here to do and manifest. Because if you imagine that there's many overlays of other people's contracts and what they need to do, you've got a part to play in a lot of other people's lives. So if you can learn quickly so that you can avoid pain, then you can move on and you can get to the better things. So it's one of them. Don't take life too personally, right? Move on, because we've only got so many life's hours on this life path in this costume. And it came home really sharply to me that somebody who helped me out when I came out of the prison service, gave me some work when I got no direction, very ambitious, very driven. One of these people that in my opinion was absolutely going to go worldwide with what he was doing, because he'd got that drive about him. Didn't wake up the other morning. And you can discuss whatever it is that you like about what your life is like. But his legacy is he worked hard. He was a fantastic person. He was a great dad. There's a lot of people that are going to turn up to his funeral or his wake or whatever you call it, but he's gone, right? And life is like that. It can be gone in a heartbeat. So when we get buried down in this candy floss crap that we sometimes to get ourselves buried down with, always look at the other side of it, because there will be something. I've got to say, my feeling is with this, and this is hand on heart emotion, is that we're not here for a life of suffering. And if we are, we'll take valuable lessons from it, because through the evolutionary process, when we go back, we'll have learned a lot. We're free floating energy beings that's come down onto a very difficult set of circumstances at the moment. But remember, you designed the plan. So whatever it is that you put in there, you've decided already that you're strong enough to do it. So just for my closing thing is to just live your best life that you can.
Yeah.
And you know the old saying on Facebook, when you can do better, you will do better.
Yeah. Always see that glass half full. So, Rick, I'm so sorry for your loss. I put it in the chat because I didn't want to interrupt you. But you know, the plan that we created, there's always a positive outlook. So Trevor said it here, seeing that glass half full, counting your blessings every day, like Susanna said. That's one of the practices that I do every day when I get up. I try to do it as early as possible. Last night I was doing it at 10:30 at night. I go through all of the wonderful things in my life. And I thank each and everything that I experienced. So, yesterday they had I was going over to the barbecue, and they had the 12 packs of soda, and they had a 3 for, I think, $20 or something like that. It was, some kind of deal. And one of them wasn't marked. And so I went up to the girl with 2 of the packs, and I said, listen, is it all of this brand, or is it just the diet? And she goes, no, it's all of them. And I said, all right, I'm going to go back and grab another one. And the gal said, no, there's a pile of them right here. You could just grab it. And she turned and grabbed it for me. And that seems so small and so little, but it's really not. If we're grateful, if we're happy and thankful for those kinds of small generosities, our day goes so much better, and it's cumulative. We get, the happier we are, and the more grateful we are for those little moments. Somebody lets you go, like in a big line of traffic, somebody lets you go. That's like, ooh, thank you. I'm going to sprinkle some magic dust on you. I hope the rest of your day is fantastic. And I do that like with the trolls in our comments, because we do get trolls on Facebook or on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. We do get trolls, unfortunately, some people get nasty. But one of the things that I say to them is I hope your day gets better. Somebody called me obese the other day. I'm still trying to find the comment, and I'm just gonna, yeah, she called me obese. I was like, I'm a little round, but okay. But I just want to find that comment and just say, you know what? I don't know what's up, but like, I just hope your day gets better. I hope tomorrow's a better day for you. I try not to engage negatively with them. I mean, we just had an experience with with an individual who took umbrage with our program. And I said, hey, you know what, like, we're going to subscribe to you, we're going to try and uplift your channel. Your channel is kind of small. And she told me basically to go stuff myself, and that she looks forward to having us as competition. And I wasn't in competition with her. We're not in competition with her. A very wise man on the internet said that YouTube is a big enough platform for all of us. So thank you, Trevor, for saying that. I think that that's a good way to look at it. There are certain people that want to, cast themselves as my enemy. That's fine. Like, I don't have time for you. I've got all this good energy. I want to put it in different directions. I really don't want to go to war with anyone. And to be sure, like, I'm half Italian. I can get spicy. I can get hot. And I did get a little bit hot, but the reality is, you have that whole pink blanket thing. I threw a pink blanket on that woman. And yes, Trevor, you did say that. You say it all the time. You say, look, I'm doing the Italian thing. You say it all the time, Trevor. So I threw that pink blanket on her. I guess it didn't work. Maybe she doesn't like pink. But some people just want to be pickled all day long. Some people they just want to be unhappy. They want to gripe. They want to grump, and that's okay. I don't want to do that. I don't. So our raise your vibration card for today. Did you for this week? This is for everybody this week. It's okay to feel what you need to feel. So, does that mean and I'm going to put that on my little card stand for the week. It'll be here staring at me all week. When we're upset about something, we can feel that, we can let it process, we can let that run through. You can turn that, I hate to be like, turn that frown upside down because it's so corny, but you can turn it around and you can look at the glasses that are half full in your life. If there is a disappointment, you apply to 5 different colleges and you only get into one of them, and it's the safety school that you didn't want to really go to. One of the schools accepted you. You can go there. You can always transfer later. There's always a path. You may meet the partner of your dreams there. You may change your course of study. It may have some profound effect on you. There are all sorts of reasons why we have trials and tribulations. And if we keep looking at those happier moments and the easier things and the half full moments, we can lily pad to a much happier life. Your disposition is your disposition, and we're responsible for it. So, and this program with Rick and I, this is really to get you guys happy for the day. We want to start out your week well. We want you guys to be infused with good energy. So go forth. Figure out a way that you can visualize. Figure out a way that you can bring abundance, bring those good things, bring those gifts from the world into your life. If you have to create a sculpture, create a sculpture. If you got to write it down like Rick, write it down like Rick. If you got to go into meditation and have those buckets where you put all your stuff for a few minutes, that's absolutely appropriate. So, we're curious. Next week, we'll ask you guys at the beginning of the program, how your visualization went, if you did anything different, if you did anything special. Next week, Rick, we're supposed to talk about aligning with abundance. So, what is the aligning with abundance? You hear there's a gentleman that wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's a very good book about being financially literate and being smart about your finances. He talks about a poverty mindset. And a lot of people will get into a poverty mindset in all kinds of areas of their life. So, the young person that I described before who said, "Oh, there's nobody, but I'm just going to work and coming home. I don't meet any partners." Well, when you say there's nobody out there, the pickings are slim, whatever it is. It's a very poverty mindset. It's a great big world. There's a lot of people here. There's always somebody out there for you. There's always another job for you. There's always another tattoo artist that you can go to get your leg finished. There's always another way to get somewhere. And when we feel blue, when we feel sad, when we feel challenged, if we start to look at those good things in our lives and really focus on them and visualize them, more things are going to come to you. More good things will align with you. So an Indigo Star says she's getting a great morning boost. This is fantastic. One of the things I think I'm going to do, Rick, on PNR and on my channel, I think I'm going to go back and relabel some of our past episodes of Vibe with the Tribe, just so that people can tap into them. So maybe later in the week, you and I will sit down and we'll kind of tweeze through it and make sure that we've got these labeled so people can go and get them. Oh, Grumpy's saying tattoos are cheap here. Yeah, tattoo artists are like $300 an hour here in New Jersey now. So yeah. So I don't know. People ask me all the time, what do my tattoos represent? And I'm like, the disposable cash I had in my 20s.
Love it.
Yeah. So Rick, anything else that you want to say? We had a lot of people in today. This was a good show. We had a lot of good people. We had Grumpy and Trevor and TD and all the good people. So we had a good start, good infusion of energy. So anything you have to add? I did a lot of talking today.
I've got nothing to add. Just basically just go out there and shine like you're meant to. Don't get bogged down by it. And there's a story on one of the other episodes that we've done that my whole reason for starting along this spiritual path was when somebody gave me the advice about don't sweat the small stuff. And that's my answer to most things. It really is, don't sweat the small stuff, because the only person that ends up suffering through all of that is you. It's like watching a shit movie over and over again. The ending is always going to be the same. So at some point, it's not about getting it all right, but it's finding the acceptance of the way things that they are, so you can dump it and move on. Right? If you keep reliving the same movie over and over again, what are you likely to learn from it? So my last words are going to be what I'm going through at the moment. Thank all teachers.
I love that. I love thanking all teachers. Well, everybody, we will be back next week. Again, we're going to align with abundance next week. We're going to figure out how to get out of that poverty mindset and get into an abundance mindset. So it's going to be really cool. And you can apply this to anything in your life. Until then, everybody, subscribe to Rick, subscribe to me, subscribe to the Psychic News Report. It's a new channel. It's a collaborative channel we have with Thor Sandalwood. He's a Vedic astrologer, and Rob Akampora, who's a friend of mine, who is a radio personality. I've been trying to hoodwink him into working with me for years. Finally did it, finally manifested that. But we do the news. It's a little bit more serious. We are broadcasting this on Psychic News Report. This is kind of like our morning show, kind of our feel-good show. But we do news with a psychic spin. So you're going to get the news, but you're also going to get some peeling away of the terrestrial. And we show you some really cool stuff in there. But as always, if you would like to get a reading from Rick, you can contact him at mediumrick007@gmail.com. If you would like to get a reading with me, and I'm going to be running specials all summer. Rick, are you going to run specials at all this summer? Maybe. Might manifest them.
We've got business meetings to have, haven't we, about sessions running things with readings and manifestations and things like that, haven't we? We've got to have that meeting. So no, basically, in my online readings, anybody that wants to get in touch with me, they will stay at the same price, the £35 in English. I don't know what that equates to in dollars. That's 30 to 40 minutes, and that's tarot, angel, and oracle cards, and a little bit of intuition and things like that. Or an hour for £50, and I'm not sure about the current currency, and that's all about working with your thoughts, mind management, and just sort of tapping into that soul energy of ours, and just being that spiritual counselor and provocateur that I can be. You know, I'm like the one that will prod you into action. So plug into the battery charger, and I will just give you my experience, and that's my sales pitch as much as I've got.
And I think you're fantastic, Rick. I really
Thank you.
do. If anybody would like to contact me, fortunecookiestarot.com. You can go on there. There's a link to book readings with me, or fortunecookiestarot@gmail.com if you have questions. But until next week, everybody, have an amazing week. Take this high vibe that we just created and go into your week with it. Just apply it every single day. And you're gonna start to feel everything uplift. So we're glad to be here. Spiritual gangster, fallen angel, and crazy Italian New Jersey psychics. Hey, you got to be what you got to be. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.